if Matt has me in side control, he's putting pressure up front. It sucks. And I want to get out of this, right? But how? And there's a number of different ways. We covered some of that last semester. But one of the things that I can do is I can block the hips. And if you're over there, come over this way, really see it. So I'll use my forearm to block the hips. And what this is doing is it's stopping Matt from following me as I start to move around. Another thing that's really important that I want to do for this type of escape is I don't want to sit flat on my back and my hips. I always want to be on the side a little bit, lift my hip. Personally, I like to lift my hips up a little bit, but never be just flat. If you're just flat, it's really easy for him to put the pressure. You can even use this hip to shuck my arm away, and I'll lose it. But if I'm here, I'm responding, all right? So I want to block this off. And I want to wiggle around, to be not very technical, but we can move our shoulder up and start to bring our hand around and push on the neck. This is typical, you know, from this position. But what I want to do is I want to take my hand and I want to move it under the armpit. So here now I have double underhooks, right? Don't forget, my most important thing right now is I want the forearm on the hip. I want to keep that hip away because I need to create space. If I lose the space, it comes in, no matter how good of an underhook I have, it makes it pretty tough. So I want to keep that space. I want to bring my arm, I start here, sometimes on the neck or on the shoulder, and just come up. And I want to come up at a 45-degree angle. I don't want to be flat across the back. I want to be at a 45-degree angle. And I want to, and here, can you hop up for a second? What I'm going to do is I want to push this arm at a 45-degree angle. And see how my hips come up off the mat as I do that? I roll onto my shoulder, and I'm pushing like this. So again, we start here. Number one, take my forearm, put it on the hips, block out the hips. Number two, I want to make sure this whole time I'm not flat on my back, moving around. I work my arm in, take that hand. Number three, move it under his armpit and back. And now here's where I need to explode. I need to come up to my knees, but I'm bringing my arm up and over the back as I come up to my knees. And where we end is right here, okay? From here, we'll be able to do many things. We looked at a couple of guillotines briefly last week. We can stand up. We can take the back and do many different things. But one thing is for sure, we're not on the bottom. So let's look at that just once more. Again, forearm to hip. I want to connect here. I want to push away the hip. Make sure my back isn't flat on the mat. This should be a constant. And then I want to start working my hand in, push away, bring my hand under, okay, while still maintaining this connection here with the forearm. And I want to take my arm, push up, come to my knees. All right. So another move, you can do this from the guard. We're going to start not in the guard and transition to the guard. Another move we can do is the guillotine. You saw that last time, all right? This is not going to be the pretty guillotine where we really get down and get that blood choke. This is going to be a bit more of a blood and trachea choke. All right, so if I'm here and I want to get this, the first thing I need to do is I need to push down on the shoulder. Do you remember that from last time when we were standing, we pushed down the shoulder? So this is the same thing, except we're down here. We've slipped off the side from that armbar attempt, and now we have something else. So what I want to do is really barrel down in with my arm as tight as possible, okay? Then I'm going to be hooking around the neck, here. Now, what I want to do is I want to slip under, now. I want to grab my arm, and I want to use my knees to squeeze, okay? So have I put any pressure on your chin or neck yet? No. Yeah. So I'm just squeezing. Is it comfortable though? No. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I want to pry this neck out by taking my forearm, this neck's over the forearm, the deeper the better, and I want to just sit out like this. So I'm pulling the hips away, and I'm pulling the neck apart, and I'm really just stretching out the body. All right, so let's start that. Again, both moves, we ended up here. All right, so the first thing I want to do, if I'm going to go for the guillotine, is I want to come down here as deep as possible. All right, then I want to hook, so I want to trap the neck. All right, the idea, the reason I want to trap the neck is no matter what he does, if he stands up, he twists around, I still have that neck there. So he can do whatever he wants. That neck's now mine. So I have the neck here, and I come in, I close my guard up, grab my hands or the wrist, I squeeze, and now I pull the neck away from the body. The part of my wrist that I'm putting under the neck, ideally, is the uncomfortable part, which is right here. So the bony part of your wrist right here. And I'm just pulling up like this, all right? There's nowhere he can really go like this, but I'm just pulling up. At the same time, I'm taking my legs that I've squeezed and I'm pulling the other way. So I really stretch out his body. So I just want you to be able to stop your opponent from choking you. You can sit there all day, all right? As soon as you bring that arm over and you put the shoulder in the face, it's very hard for many people to actually execute on that choke. So, again, with your pretty deep choke, take my arm, go over the neck, hand behind the shoulder, put my shoulder in the face and the neck. There's no way for Matt to really choke me on this. I'm not saying it's comfortable, but he can't choke me, and I can just sit here. Another day we'll go over more escapes from that position, but at least for now, there should be no way that you're going to tap to most people that put you in that guillotine. By the way, this works from any position. You can stand up. Puts me in this, come here. Again, see how I lift my head up so I can free the space? All right, he might have that choke in, but there's no way he's choking, all right? So it doesn't matter if we're standing, we're on the mat, put your arm over. You should be able to stop the majority of these chokes. So the question was, what are some different submissions that we can do? Because we covered the guard pass previously. We'll go over more guard passes with time. But what are some different submissions that we can do? All right. So one of the things that I'd like to start us with, especially with no-ki, is I'd like to do a move that leads into what you just saw. All right. So I want to break my opponent down. I want to get my arm under my opponent here. See where my body is? It's off the midline. So it's off to the side. That's going to be very important. I want to get my leg, connect my elbow and knee together so I can push, and my foot is on the hip. All right. Now what I'm trying to do is isolate this arm for the submission. So what do I need to do? I need to move back. I need to pinch the arm right at the wrist, between my shoulder and the head. I need to have space here because this is where the arm is going to dislocate. I need to make sure the thumb is always pushing opposite of the part that area that I'm applying pressure to. And then I need to put pressure on. Matt has these long arms, but I see how there's space right here? Then I just put pressure right here. A lot of times I like to grip here. I don't have to, but I put pressure here. I also want to pinch my knees on the shoulder, important detail. So I take this, I put pressure on the arm, and just right there, it's just a straight arm bar. This is probably a low percentage move. It's hard to get this arm bar. So why would I waste your time? At the end of the day, if I don't get this, I end up in the same position we just were, okay? So it's the same type of concept. They really do feed off of one another. So let's try that again. All right, so break Matt down, all right? Have this here, I want to get off the midline. At the same time, I want to take one of my hands, slice it under the shoulder. I come off the midline. I want to move away. By moving away, I'm connecting my knee and elbow together, and I'm taking my foot and pushing it on the hips, all right? I follow the arm down, pinching this, creating space between, and if you can't see, come around. I want to create space between my stomach and the arm. And I just take the bony part of my forearm and push right on the elbow and just push down. Okay? All right, so the final one that we're gonna do is focused on a move that you've seen before. You saw the Americana. This is a move that most people don't think about doing from the guard, all right? But what I want to do, a traditional Americana is this. I'm figure fouring. That just means I'm grabbing my own wrist like this, so that's called a figure four. I'm figure fouring my own arm, like this, all right? And I'm twisting. Now this isn't going to tap Matt because we're not in the right position, but I'm grabbing his wrist, I'm twisting and just curling, and I'm moving this up, all right? Do you guys remember this from a couple of weeks ago? Mm-hmm. All right. Now what about if you have someone in the guard? Well, the first thing is I need to slide off to the side. All these moves, or many of these moves, have you sliding off to the side. You know, this is what we started with already. So this mirrors the move that we're already working on. So let's say we can't get this. Cool. We're on this side, come around, I grab the arm, okay? I like to do pressure, so I try to keep my knees pinching on the chest. I grab here. I come around. I push the elbow towards the hip, and then I bring it up, okay? So I'm just rotating like this. The key is, if I have the elbow up here, and it's a little challenging at first, you saw me just struggle right now. If I have this up here, there's a lot of range of motion. But if this arm is down there by the hip, we really have much less range of motion, okay? And I think we all know that's Matt, who's very flexible, which you know, several of you in here are very flexible, but you need to bring this elbow down, all right? So figure four, grab the wrist, bring the elbow down by the hips, and then bring it up, all right? What questions do you have for me?
Are you keeping that bottom foot on the hip, or are you just keeping it? So
right now I'm just putting it right on here.
Okay.
You know, I think this is one of the ones, if I put it on the hip, I'm going to take away some space that I'm going to need. But if you can get your foot on the hip, as opposed to the side, do that.
Okay.
Because, you know, then you have the control. If the move doesn't work, you still control their hips. If I have it here, you know, I have a lot less control.
So are you trying to stay to the side, or are you trying to get under or more?
I'm trying to keep my hips to the side, and then I curl in like a sit-up.
So it's just your upper body really that's going under.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So curl in to do this.
All right. That's what I got.
What other questions? All right. 1, 2, 3.